Ripples on still water, from the source of life, circles ever widening, ripple through the pattern of life. For what can survive without water? Plants, wildlife, man. Man can use the elements around him for his own benefit. He has made water his most useful tool. But as man has used water, he has also abused it. He has poisoned and dirtied it. Our waterways now need help in handling civilization's waste. Our developing efforts have become ripples on still water. Ripples which can harm or protect. Ripples where there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow. 300 years ago, the streams ran clear. The rivers carried a wealth of fish. The tall forests sheltered an abundance of wild game. It seemed then that the cleansing abilities of the rivers and streams was limitless. For the wealth of nature was great, and the requirements of man were few. Into this vast wilderness sailed the French explorers La Salle and Nicolet. They sent back word of the richness of this newfound territory. The forests were felled and the land was cleared for new towns like Green Bay. And along the Fox, industries sprang up powered by the strong river currents, especially those that turned pulp into paper. The lower Fox River Valley, drawing on the forests of wood pulp from the north, became known as the paper mill capital of the world. In the midst of this great economic and population expansion, when life along the Fox seemed so good, there appeared the first faint signs of nature's limits. The rivers began to show the strain of more people and more industry. Sewage disposal here during the first part of this century was simple. There were no water treatment plants, and there was little concern for renewing the water quality. Few wondered about the capacity of the rivers to absorb the waste, and no one could imagine that pollution could become a serious threat. By the mid-1920s, a sickening stench arose from the rivers which ran through Green Bay. The people who lived near the river experienced firsthand nature's danger sign, that it was being pushed too far.
This river is sick because society has been using it too much. The uses, of course, are both metropolitan and rural, with the metropolitan wastes coming from commercial, residential, as well as industrial, with the industrial wastes here in the lower Fox River Valley being predominant. The Green Bay metropolitan area is an excellent example of a community that has benefited greatly from the area water resources, as well as suffered some losses. The benefits are apparent to all of us through our increased standard of living, as well as the variety of opportunities that we all enjoy. The losses are primarily apparent to us in the water pollution that is near.
And because of the water pollution, industry and the community of Green Bay united to develop a treatment system to help clean Green Bay's waters. This union is not a recent effort, however. It started years ago when it became apparent that something had to be done to regain Green Bay's water resources.
There was just a broad beach of beautiful sand, and you'd walk out, 2 or 3 blocks along a good hard sand bottom, No stones, no rocks, pebbles, anything like that. Beautiful sand. And this place was just packed with people. On a hot summer's day, especially on the weekend, there'd be thousands of people that used to come out here. Public Service Corporation had a fleet of streetcars, some of them special. Open-air streetcars that used to come out and bring thousands of people out here. And the loss of this park, the loss of this beach for public bathing was just a tragedy to this community. There have been all kinds of swimming pools that have been constructed in the area since that time, but you can't replace a bathing beach such as we had here. You just lose it. It's a great loss of natural resources. That happened in the summer of 1931, as I recall. It was closed by order of the State Board of Health. I suggested that we take advantage of a new law that I knew something about, had been on the books a year or two, which permitted the creation of a new municipality called a Metropolitan Sewerage District. The people were beginning to be frightened of the odor. It was so bad. One lady testified that she cautioned her little daughter to, as she approached the bridge, to take a deep breath and then run across as fast as she could, and don't take any more breaths until you get across it. So you can see that they were really frightened of it. We had the district organized by order of the Judge Carlton Merrill on December 6, 1931, and they proceeded to build intercepting sewers along East River. And the whole thing, the East River interceptors and the Fox River interceptors and the treatment plant were finished, I believe, in 1937. And that continued to be the plant until in the 50s a secondary treatment plant was built known as a trickling filter system, and it worked for a while.
The success of the Green Bay Metro Sewage District influenced actions in nearby areas. The fight for cleaner waters had begun in northeastern Wisconsin. Other cities along the Fox demonstrated their concern with the construction of their own sewage treatment plants. Some of the paper mills began intensive research to reduce the polluting effects of their effluent. The State Board of Health increased its efforts to encourage, insist, and enforce compliance with new, more stringent pollution abatement policies. And for a while, water quality improved, but the initial success of the Metro Sewage District was to be short-lived. Even with the steady expansion of their treatment facilities and the addition of a secondary trickling filter treatment plant in 1955, the district could not keep pace with the demands of its rapidly growing communities. The overwhelming increase of domestic and commercial sewage treated at the Metro plant reached a minimum of 30 million gallons a day, enough to fill Lambeau Field, the Green Bay Packer Stadium, to the brim in less than 10 days. The growing paper industry was also finding it difficult to meet increasingly stringent pollution abatement standards. In response to the problem, the local paper industry founded the Sulfite League in the 30s to search for practical uses of pulp and paper plant wastes. Some of the uses developed were an artificial flavoring called vanillin, yeast, and road binding material. But because of the limits of the available technology, a final solution to successful waste treatment was beyond reach. The pressure for greater sewage services and higher water standards demanded a new, more effective treatment system. The old trickling filter system of treatment could not meet the increasing demands of the new standards. And because of its nature, the mill effluent could not be treated by the Metro plant.
It was nearly 20 years ago, 1958 to be exact, when Charman voluntarily initiated and financed a joint research treatment project with Metro. As we found out through this work, the design and implementation of such a joint waste treatment process was quite difficult. The study initially focused on using Metro's existing trickling filter system to combine and treat municipal and industrial waste. After 2 years of this large pilot plant testing, we found that this process was not practical, and experimentation shifted to the activated sludge process. At the same time, at other Charman locations, similar technical work was going on, which complemented the work taking place at Green Bay. After 8 years of research, supervised and financed by Charman Green Bay, some technological breakthroughs in the process were discovered which were quite encouraging.
An extensive review of the district's laboratory data and existing Fox River water quality data in 1962 led the district to several conclusions. First, the secondary treatment facilities would have to be expanded. Second, a more efficient system than the existing trickling filter system would have to be used. If trickling filters were to be used in the future, an extensive land area would be required. Therefore, it seemed more proper to select the activated sludge process. However, due to difficulties experienced in the past, a pilot treatment plant was constructed and operated. This data indicated that while the activated sludge process did remove the pollutants, the system was not capable of separating the liquids and the solids at the end of the process. Therefore, the system would not operate properly. The district was frustrated by the apparent inability of the system to work in Green Bay while it did work in other communities throughout the country. It was obvious that additional research and study would be necessary.
In 1966, 3 other Green Bay pulp and paper companies joined in the research project. In the following year, research funds were granted by the federal government to supplement local contributions. Finally, after years of extensive research, in December of 1969, the technical feasibility of joint treatment of paper mill and domestic wastes was successfully established. Now complete and exacting standards for pollution abatement could be set. The State Department of Natural Resources could now issue definitive orders. It promptly directed the paper mills in the area to either arrange for treatment of their effluent through the Metro Sewage District or build their own treatment plants to meet the new higher standards. In January 1971, American Can Company and Charman Paper Products united with the communities of the Green Bay Metropolitan Sewerage District as full partners in the development of a new treatment plant. A new dimension had been added to the fight for cleaner water. A test-proven method had been developed.
Reclaiming of pulp and paper making waste has long been a challenge for the American Can Company. For instance, we were the pioneers in developing a variety of chemical products from spent liquors used in the sulfite pulping process. This challenge will not end with these new processes, nor our joint effort with a new Metropolitan treatment plant.